everybody. Welcome to a Dirty Thursday. The Eisenschenk twins are back. Amelia and Laela Eisenschenk. And how about this? Uncle Donny Schatz here too. Yeah. This is going to be a blast. Today's Dirty Thursday, by the way, brought to you by Executive Properties. Are you still putting off that project around the house that's been bugging you forever? Do you think you can wait until spring and call a contractor and have the work done ASAP? Well, good luck with that. Executive Properties has openings right now to get that project done. In fact, you can check out their Google reviews. Aaron says Chris and his team did a spectacular job on the damage to my aunt's garage and siding. Kept us up to date on the progress, and the finished product was amazing. Thank you for your professionalism and hard work. Hey, get that project done sooner than later. Call Executive Properties, 701-330-1273. All right, and if we do get any snow yet coming this year, also get a hold of Executive Properties for your snow removal. If you have any questions or comments for Amelia, Laela, or Donnie, our phone number is 701-213-0863. Feel free to text or call. In fact, we've already got a lot of people texting in this morning, and thank you, everybody. Before we get going too far into the show, let's do it. It's our daily segment called Jokes My Neighbor Tells Me. Here we go. Jokes My Neighbor Tells Me. And this one is from Paul, the producer. So if you don't like it, it's his fault, okay? You know, a lot of women actually turn into good drivers. A lot of women actually turn into good drivers. So if you're a good driver, watch out for turning women. Remember the last time we had a twins joke? Can't remember what it was. Do you remember?
Remember?
No, I know you guys thought it was fairly funny.
That was a good one, yeah.
All right, let's cut that music off. All right, here we go. By the way, thank you for everybody already texting. Hope the girls have their schoolwork done. Joshua Johnson. Actually, you guys are on spring break today?
Yep, first day of spring break.
And how long do you have?
Just 2 days, yeah.
Just this
Today
week, and then you go
tomorrow.
back to Monday?
Yep.
Oh, that's kind of sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. How have you been?
Good.
Yeah.
Excited to be back and talk some racing today.
Good. How are you?
I'm really good. How are you?
I'm doing good. And how are you doing there, Donnie?
I'm doing great.
Yeah. Hey, congratulations. What's that?
Enjoying the end of this non-winter that we're having here.
Oh, I know. Isn't it nice? I have a lake in my yard, and now it just disappeared because I think the frost is finally going away, which is incredible at this time of the year. But you just come back from, what, Texas?
Well, I never actually made it to Texas last weekend. They canceled it pretty early
that's
Friday
right.
morning, and they'd had enough rain. They tried to get the track in the facility to where they couldn't even get Saturday in, and they pulled the pin. I believe it was Friday night. So we never did make it that far, and obviously it looks like this weekend we're going to fight the same battle with weather, but you're going to have that this time of the year when you try to race anywhere, let alone even the southern states. So we'll see what happens.
Right. And by the way, congratulations on the 500th win down in Volusia, 312th World of Outlaw win. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot of years in the making. I think, people don't resonate with how long it takes to do that and to be able to even to get the Outlaw wins we have, but all the other wins prior and during that process was a lot of years. There's 30 plus years of racing there, and I think people look at it and see that it's just something that the stars just lined up. But when you put it on paper and spread it out over 30 years, it doesn't look as good as what that number 500 is. So yeah, it's pretty neat, and it's something to try to keep in the back of your mind. It's not, the numbers aren't anything or any reason why any of us do this. We all start out racing because it's something that we're attracted to, and we love racing, and with it, some people have success and some don't. So been very fortunate to have had a lot of great people behind me the entire time, a great family, just all around been very blessed in every aspect of it. And someday we'll have a few margaritas and celebrate 500 wins or however many it ends up being. But today we're going to put it behind us and focus on keeping going.
Well, when you hit it right on the head when you talk about these numbers. 500 career sprint car win, 312 with the World of Outlaws. When we look at you would think you would be 90 years old. It took you, 10 years to win your first title?
Yeah, I was a very slow learner. That's the truth. You can't sit and knock it. I was a very slow learner. My father got very frustrated at times with my inability to put it all together mentally and even physically. So my ability, I didn't learn, just didn't apply myself like I should have. And I guess um, one day it kind of clicked, and you started to get things going. I think we finally got past some of the hard moments that kept snowballing and making things harder. So yeah, it's like I said, I was definitely a slower learner and glad to get past that hump. But just because you do it doesn't mean that it's going to be continued success. You always got to keep working at it, keep going forward, and that's where we're at today. We found ourselves in a little bit of a lull the last several years, and I feel like we're finally coming out of that, where we worked our way back out of it, getting things going the right direction. So you don't ever want to get complacent, and racing is ever changing. As much as I've ever seen it, I think it's probably as competitive today as it's ever been, and everybody has access to the best stuff and the best equipment, and knows there's no super secret setups that you get ahead of people anymore. Everybody talks to
Mm-hmm.
everybody and shock companies, and
Yeah.
so those sort of things aren't really proprietary information anymore. If someone knows something, everybody knows something.
I can, and girls, I didn't forget about you yet, but I can remember watching you when you first started, Donnie, hugging the inside here at River City Speedway, just trying to stay out of everybody's way. And man, you have come a long way, huh? Jeepers.
Well, like I said, it's a lot of years in the making. It's been a lot of laps. There's been a lot of heartache, heartbreak, a lot of crashes and stuff. But the good part is people mostly remember all the good things and all the wins and the success. So, but there are the downfalls with it too. So, I guess without one, you don't have the other. If we don't have bad, we don't understand what good feels like when it's good. So,
Right.
very, like I said, very fortunate.
Two times come to mind when I think about you and River City Speedway here. The one time was the battle with you and Steve Kinzer, which you won, I believe. And then also back on 2018, winning the late model feature and the sprint car feature. Were you pretty gassed after winning both of those features in the same night?
I can't remember if I was gassed or not. I think you get to a point when you do that. That late model is pretty demanding,
Yeah.
as them girls will tell you. It takes way more out of you just because your body's not used to that sort of on the wheel this way versus the sprint car. You really don't even have to turn the wheel. There's a lot more G forces, but the whole the way the car lays in the yaw, it's just a completely different environment, and I'm just not used to having all that hand over hand,
Yeah.
so much movement. So when you don't do it enough, it really takes its toll on you physically, and um, it was a great night to be able to do that, and I don't remember if I was super gassed, but if I wasn't, it was strictly because adrenaline got the best
Yeah.
of me.
Well, when we talk about super gassed, I mentioned with when you and Kinzer going at it, and I don't know if you remember this race or not, but Steve Kinzer was so gassed when he got out. Normally, his pit guy would come up to him and give him a cigarette right away, and he wouldn't even take a cigarette. He was just like, "Get out of here." I thought he was going to keel over, man. That was one of the best races I think I've ever seen.
Well, keep in mind, Steve is the reason that we all have the platform and the monies to race on today.
Yep.
The road that he paved and putting butts in the seats and making this what it is for people like me to be a part of and continue on with. And um, he wasn't a spring chicken when that happened,
No, he
and
wasn't.
he wasn't in the best shape. So, but his mind, and I think today, if you still have, and I still talk to Steve regularly, his mind is still there. He still has that competitive edge, but there comes a point where age and physics take over for what your mind says you physically can do. So for Steve to go as long as he did was pretty incredible, and I feel pretty fortunate that I got to spend a lot of years racing against him, learned a lot of things from him, and wish he was still around.
Yeah.
But I think some of those things are still going around, and he still comes to the races and still takes a great pride. So I got the better end of him on home turf, but I'm pretty sure if we were at Bloomington, Indiana, it'd be the reverse roles. He'd be the one standing on the front stretch, and we'd be standing there, not winning.
Sure. Tommy Eglin says, I just realized I'm the last to have run with Don when he started. Tommy Corcoran, just a quick comment regarding Donnie. Back in 2013, if memory serves me, Donnie wins the Knoxville Nationals on Saturday night, and Sunday night he's racing with the NLRA at Buffalo River. That's the mark of a man who truly enjoys racing. And then Josh Johnson replying to Tom, I remember us watching live timing at our NLRA show in Jamestown, and Donnie came from the B-main at Knoxville Nationals and won. Major accomplishment. Then, yeah, he pulled into Glendon the very next afternoon. You're just all over the map. When it came to, I remember when you first started running the late models, do you think that made you a better driver?
It did. I didn't want to acknowledge it. For years, my father wanted me to go try to venture out and do some late model racing. And he always felt it was going to be great. You never listen to your dad. You just argue with him because that's what you're supposed to do as a son. And when I got the opportunity to run the dream at Tony Stewart's, the prelude to the dream with all the NASCAR guys and got the invite, nobody's going to knock that back.
Yeah.
And when I did it, man, it was incredible. I had the time of my life, but it was like riding a horse that bucks you off, and you got too much pride to let anybody know you got bucked off. So you're going to get on that horse and you're going to kick it in the flanks until it realizes you're the boss. And that's where the whole late model thing came from is I enjoyed it. It was just a completely different mindset, completely different group of people. To me, some days it seemed like the late model people kind of understood the full circle of life and racing more so than maybe the sprint car people on certain levels. And I think it was just because it was different. The cars are unique, and I still enjoy them. But the reason I don't get to do it as much anymore is because of those two guests you got sitting there with you. There's just not enough time and there's not enough equipment to make the world go around for me to be able to do it. And they're at the age where it's time to let them have that. But I have definitely enjoyed some great moments in the late models and enjoyed racing against the NLRA guys and just racing period. And it's fun to go to all these places. I try to do my part around North Dakota to make sure that we don't keep losing racetracks and they get people in the stands and I try to do it with sprint cars too. So just fun to be in that seat where you can go out and help it in a way you can and still have a lot of fun, because ultimately that's where this all started, was having fun. And even though I've been very fortunate to make a career out of it and it's been my livelihood, I'm one of the few people that has made a great life at it, and there's not that many that have. So like I said, I'm very fortunate to be in that situation.
All right, two more things here, and then we're going to talk to your nieces here for a couple of minutes. But Dave Rosenthal says, ask him where his first ever feature win was at. I was there.
Yeah, it was in Grand Forks, I'm pretty sure.
That was an easy one, huh? Oh, and one more thing I wanted to mention, and I'm sure you already heard this. Don't you like Happy Joe's? Was that you?
Oh, I like Happy Joe's.
Because they're opening one in Fargo again.
Yeah, I just saw that on the news here the other day. It's great to see them come back. It just tells you, if you lose any business and it comes back, that somebody's obviously working hard to do that, because operating a business in today's environment is not a lot of fun.
Right. Okay, we're going to just talk to the girls here for a couple of minutes. First, Laela, let's see, 26 features last season, 1 win, 12 top 5s, 20 top 10s. You were here 5 times at River Cities last season, 2 top 5s, all top 10 finishes. And did you get hurt too? Or did you blow the Achilles?
No, I blew out the ACL.
Oh, yours was the knee, that's right.
Yeah, blew out my knee.
And how is that coming along?
No, it's coming along. I'm starting to move around a little better now. I did it the 21st of February. The first week was pretty rough on me, but now I'm moving around good. You pretty much can't tell that I did anything, but I'm waiting for my surgery on April 1st and then go from recovery from there.
They tell you how long the recovery would be?
They told me for sure it's 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. Non-bearing, can't really do much till then, but they said with the racing, it kind of goes if I can, get in and out. That's the main thing, and be comfortable in the car. But running and stuff like that, we're looking at like 9 months. So, hopefully I can get in and race this summer, but I guess we'll just have to see how things play out.
Well, I told you about all my knee surgeries, and you are young, and you're in way better shape than I was when I got hurt. So I think you'll have a pretty fast recovery, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's go across here now. Amelia, let's see, 27 features last year, 2 wins, 4 top 5s, 14 top 10s. You were here 5 times, 2 top 10s. No more hoops for you?
No more basketball, no.
Because you tore your Achilles.
I tore my Achilles last April. I had surgery a couple days later, and the recovery went pretty good. I still struggle a little bit with running and jumping. But other than that, it went pretty good, and we raced a little bit starting in June. So I did pretty well with the recovery.
Joshua Johnson says the girls' paint schemes look sharp this year. I saw them just on Facebook today, and they yeah, why don't you pop them up in the background? They do look good.
Oops, there you go.
Okay, now I get my head out of the way. That it?
Yep.
Pretty fancy.
That's it.
Is that it? Yeah.
Wow. Oh, and like all interviews, Donnie, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a hat change like you guys do in Victory Lane. How do you like this one?
Can you read
Can't
it?
see it. What's it say?
It says Trump 2024.
You better be careful. You'll be on somebody's watch list, or you'll be getting banned from Facebook or something.
Oh, it's already happened, believe me. Okay, now,
Join the
girl.
club.
Yeah. It's funny because I intentionally wear this hat, Donnie, to a couple of places, a couple of our local watering holes by the racetrack. You know what I'm talking about, just to see if I can get anybody going, and it's worked a few times. So, and I'm glad I got it. You guys, this year's plans: late models, sprint cars, 305s, 410s, all of the above, none of the above. What's the plan?
Well, we have all of the above, but obviously we're always a little bit 305 heavy for another year. We're going to try and get as many 305 races in as we can, obviously. We're going to try and do a little bit of late model racing around here as well, and a little bit of 410 racing if it works when Donnie is home, because we learned from the best, and our grandpa always wanted to be there when we first started in the 305s. So when we started in the 410s, we want him there to teach us, and we want to learn from him. So a little bit of 410 racing.
You know, you talk about how you like to have Uncle around. A lot of people didn't realize when you guys were running go-karts up here on Wednesdays, Donnie would come up and be with you guys at Forks Karting Association. I've talked with him a few times in the pits about that, but how cool is that he comes up here, starting with the karts, and now just keeps on going with you as you guys move up?
Oh, it's really cool. He's like a mentor to us, but I feel like a lot of people don't see the part of what he's teaching us. You know, he's teaching us the mental side of it. You know, we kind of have to figure out racing on our own. You know, the mechanics of it on our own.
Sure.
But yeah, we're really fortunate to have a guy like him to teach us what it really takes to become a race car driver, because a lot of people don't look at it, the mental part of it, and what it takes.
Yeah.
It takes a lot. So
Now, I'm guessing he is pretty much who you race like, or is that like your idol, who you wanted to be like, your inspiration when you were young, and still is that basically, was it your uncle, or did you have any other people that you were watching?
No, we pretty much grew up going to the races since we were born. So, you know, we go to a lot of his races, and we learn. We watch every single lap he does, and we take it in, and we just try to learn from, you know, he teaches us a lot. Like when he comes to the races, he criticizes us a little bit, but you need that to learn, as he always says, and along with our grandpa said that. So he was our idol growing up. He still is. So
You know, these girls got a unique opportunity here. It's funny you should ask that question. I don't want them to try to replicate me in any way, shape, or form. You know, they're very fortunate to be around a lot of great drivers, and my style isn't necessarily something that maybe going forward in the future is what's going to make them successful. So they've been surrounded by Sheldon Haudenschild and James McFadden and a lot of the guys that they've gotten to know through me. And I think each person has its own unique quality that they learn from. And I know that Sheldon has taken a real good liking to the girls and tries to help them out and pays attention to what's going on with them. And I think he's done probably a better job of bringing some things to light to them that I so much can't or don't even realize that you do. So they have a great opportunity to kind of to learn from everyone, not just me. And you're not going to, and that's the false narrative in this sport, is that you can groom someone to be just like someone else. And if you look at, people of today that are great drivers, like take Kyle Larson, for instance.
Yeah.
You can't compare him to anyone. He's by far, you know what I mean? So, and it wasn't, he tried to be like this person. He just went and did it. So that's where I think these girls have a great opportunity to not just learn from me, but they have a lot of great assets they can learn from and watch what goes on. Because if they're going to be successful in this, they're going to have to not just pick what I know. They're going to have to learn from everyone.
Now, did you, Donny, have like a role model or somebody you wanted to be like when you first started?
Well, I was very fortunate to spend a lot of time with Danny Lasowski and Mark Kinzer. Those were two people that really, went out of their way to help me, try to help me get my car right, try to help me as a driver. I always looked up to Doug Wolfgang.
Oh, sure.
He was really my childhood hero, and Doug got hurt, right as I was starting. So he was kind of absent through the first couple of years. And I did get to race against Doug after he came back from his injuries, but he was never the same Doug. And so sometimes it was hard for me to learn from him, knowing that he wasn't at his prime at that time. But still to this day, he's always going to be one of my biggest childhood heroes. But there wasn't anybody that really stood out that would ever do anything crazy. There was guys that would help you. If you went and asked Steve Kinzer, he'd tell you what you needed to know, but most people were intimidated by him, and I was too. And it wasn't just off the track, it was definitely on the track. So,
right.
I think back then everybody was a little bit more shy, but times were different then too. We didn't have cell phones and camera phones and all these things and message boards, and it's a whole different environment today's.
Got a message from Jason Berg saying Corn Cob National is one of the best races of the year. Amelia and Paik doing slide jobs back and forth throughout the race. Let's see. Terry Mobley, great show. Worked for the Schatz as Donny was pretty little at the time. Up in Minot at the truck stop. Good luck to all of you. Got my 15 shirt and signed by Danny and Diane and Donny. These things are going by way too fast.
I got a couple. I don't know if we can be a little more.
I got a couple more from the chat from a little bit earlier. We got so many questions coming in. Thank you, everyone, for commenting and for questions. A couple of questions and comments for the girls here. Jason Berg saying he's looking forward to having the RaceSaver sprints at Buffalo River Speedway 4 times. And Dave Rosenthal is wondering, are the girls moving to sprints exclusively, or will they be in late models also?
Oh, yeah, we talked a little bit about that earlier. We plan to be a little 305 heavy because it is, what surrounds us at home and what we can do most of the week. But we're going to try and race late models too. We have 2 of those, so we're going to try and do that as much as we can and just kind of fit into our schedule as we go.
Now, are you guys done blowing up 305s then, or what?
I mean, hopefully.
Who was the one that said something about my hat?
Oh, yeah, that was Ben Eisenschenk.
Hi, Dad.
That's our dad.
He likes my hat. All right, he's not the only one.
Amelia, I noticed that you got to mix it up with a lot of late models and sprint cars last season. Any pluses in or key takeaways just kind of racing both back and forth, or was it much not difficult, but was it pretty just seamless, just kind of switching back and forth as the season went along?
Yeah, it's definitely a change. They're 2 different types of race cars. They're total opposites in my opinion. One takes a lot out of you, like Donny said, and the other one's a little bit easier in my opinion to navigate. But in a late model, there's so much more you can adjust and change, and it's a lot to adapt to. But it really helped my racing last year as I learned a lot, and I got to race a lot of different guys and surrounded by some of the best, NLRA guys, and they taught you a lot, running with the Don Shaws and the TPOs, and it's definitely different to get into a different type of race car each night, but it taught me a lot, and I think Donnie would say too, some nights it's not all that good to jump back and forth like that, just for the mental side of it as well. You know, one night you don't do as good, but then you can go in and try in the late model. And I feel like I improved a lot in the late model last year, but it took a long time to figure out. You know, I grew up around sprint car racing, and that's all I did. You know, I went for years and years and watched, and I didn't really get to a lot of late model races, so it's definitely a big change. But, you know, I'm enjoying it. You know, it depends on the night which one I like better, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Do you love, I guess, just one little follow-up from that, like just getting in the mindset going into each feature? Okay, I got to be in late model mode. I got to be in sprint car mode. How's that for you?
You know, you always try to go into the night, you know, same attitude. You got to be positive, or you go in the night, you're negative, and it just downs on you. You know what I mean? You got to always go in with a strong mindset. And, you know, when you're racing those types of guys, they push you. They want you, you know, they push you to be better. So that's always good. And I'm thankful that I have Donnie and I have my grandpa to push me and keep wanting me to try new things. So I push myself out of my comfort zone.
John Birdsell, do the girls have a goal in racing where or what they want to race, like a division or a series? Do you have a goal? Do you want to go to do you want to be like your uncle and run with the World of Outlaws, or do you want to run late models, or do you even want to race for a living?
Oh, yeah, obviously I want to take racing as far as I can. The end goal is just really whatever opportunity I get, I'll be happy with. I want to stick to dirt.
Sure.
Late models or sprint cars, I'd be happy with either opportunity.
Okay, we're going to take just a short little break here. We got a lot more questions. Boy, I'm enjoying this a lot, you guys. Thanks for coming in. You know, life doesn't ever seem to slow down. Everything needs to be done like yesterday. Same with oil changes. You know what? I go to Valvoline Instant Oil Change. I'm usually in and out of there in about 20 minutes. I don't even get out of my truck when they're changing my oil. They're also topping off my fluids. They're checking my tires, my batteries, my lights, wipers, cabin air filter. If you have a fleet or if you're in the military, they're going to give you a discount. They can text and email invoices and coupons. Here's a real cool thing. If you mention Grand Forks Best Source when you go up there, they'll knock $10 off your oil change. They're open Monday through Saturday. No appointment needed. Pickup and delivery available in Grand Forks. It is Valvoline Instant Oil Change. For complete oil change and more, 3325 South 38th Street, or call 701-780-8462. Make sure you tell them Grand Forks Best Source sent you. Amelia, Laela Eisenschenk, Donny Schatz in the studio today on a Dirty Thursday. Donnie, I read somewhere you like to hunt. Is that true?
Yeah, I'm an outdoors person. I enjoy hunting. I just enjoy the getting out there. Generally where your phone doesn't work and watching things. I'm not the kind of person that's going to sit out there until I bring home a deer, or I'd probably starve to death, which wouldn't hurt me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I enjoy the hunt of it. It's the way it works. It's pretty neat. And, you know, I think most of it come from being able to go on family land back in the day, you know, up in central North Dakota, and it keeps you pretty grounded, and,
Sure.
and you realize how, things were 200 years ago. That's how they realized they needed good nourishment, and so it's it's something I enjoy.
Do you get a chance to hunt very often with your busy schedule?
You know, it's normally off season when that happens. You know, the girl's a stepdad. Mike is an avid hunter, and him and I got to go to Kansas last year deer hunting.
Oh, nice.
And we go to, and Mike's he's a top-notch hunter. He's probably one of the best hunters I've ever met, and he knows all the great places to go. So I've been on a few episodes with him, but I look forward to, you know, when things slow down in racing a little bit for me, maybe I, you know, probably get more involved, but it's not something that I eat, sleep, and drink like racing. So when I do get to go out, the last couple of years have been pretty, you know, when we haven't been racing, I've been sticking closer to home. There's a lot of things to try to keep organized, especially with these two girls racing and all the stuff we have going on here. So we'll do our best to get out when we can.
Again, I want to apologize for not being able to answer every question. They're coming through so darn fast. But Terry Blacklance wants to know he says, congrats to Donny on the North Dakota Hall of Fame. And then he wants to know, what is Tony Stewart like for a boss, or is he more of a friend?
Well, he's both. For me, it's hard to navigate that some days. Tony, you get to become good friends with the people you're surrounded by, even as a car owner. And Tony and I go back a long ways. We were friends prior to me driving for him, and so we're really both. But I guess there's things that happen. I went to Mexico with him when he got married a couple years ago. And to see that Tony's true friends who were there wasn't as many as I really thought. And so it kind of, you realize your place with them, and, we communicate quite regular, but both of our lives have changed drastically in that 20 years.
Yeah.
I've driven for him since 2007. So we're going on, what is that? That's a pretty long relationship. Yeah. But, the nice part is when you are that close with someone, and not only their boss or your friend, there's no bullshit. He'll tell me if he thinks I'm doing something stupid or something wrong. He'll call a spade, and likewise with me. So, we're both competitive people, probably pretty spirited, and to my knowledge, we've had disagreements, but we haven't had anywhere there was any hair pulling or anything.
Yeah.
So, it's a great relationship. It's actually a perfect relationship for both of us.
I think the last time, or the time you were on the show earlier, you were just going to have the announcement about doing the NASCAR thing of the trucks. You're getting out there. How about this for a question, Donny? Will we ever see you, even if you're just doing it for a quick little run, getting one of those NHRA cars?
No, you won't. I respect drag racing. Don't get me wrong. It's just a different. It's a whole different animal, and I enjoy going as a spectator. But there comes a point when you realize that there's just certain things in life that aren't for you, and going 330 miles an hour is pretty slow when you're in an airplane, but on the ground, it's not for me. That is for sure.
Wow. Now, I gave your nieces the freedom to ask any questions of you if they want. Have you come up with anything?
None.
We haven't came up with any yet.
Are you too nervous to?
No.
No?
No, we just had dinner last night, so that's when we can ask him questions.
I see. Bring Tony up here to drive a lay bottle. It's been a while since he's been here. It would be pretty cool. Now, you mentioned, 330 miles an hour isn't that fast when you're, compared to a jet or anything. But I think the last time I talked to you was in the pits last year, and I think you had just went and got your, you had to do your simulator work out on the West Coast. And you were telling me about how we were talking earlier in the show, how wiped out a guy can get. But the way you sounded about that simulation work you were doing, that sounded like that put you through like running a marathon.
Well, that's what it's intended for. I mean, July used to be my base month, so that's, it's now been adjusted to February because I just can't make July work for being someplace for 4 days when we race 22 days in the entire month.
Yeah.
So, and both training facilities are on the West Coast and the East Coast. So, but yeah, that's literally what it's intended for. I mean, you have to go every year to get recurrent, to maintain a type rating, and you don't fly around and sightsee at airports. You take off and lose an engine and have an engine fire or hydraulic failure, and before you know it, you're 2 hours into a flight trying to get back on the ground safely, and you're wringing wet and sweat. But there's a reason for it, and rightly so. And more importantly, you need to learn from it. That's really what it's for, is to try to keep us all safe. So I enjoy it. I guess when you do things like that are ultimately hard, it makes real life situations a little bit more practical when they do happen, even though you hope you should never be in that position, but it does happen.
Next time you have supper with the girls here, ask them about the pictures I showed them. That's why I don't fly. I don't fly very often. Anyway, a couple of more people commenting here. This is from Kaylee. When Kenneth started racing karts, the Eisenschenk girls were still there with Donnie and Kevin. What advice would you have to give a 15-year-old girl moving up to the big track from karts? Big difference going from racing kids her age to racing adult men, and it's a bit intimidating. Kenneth, she's going to be running a B mod this year. Do you have any advice for her, Donnie?
Absolutely. This is something that I get all the time. And the first thing is there's no magic to it. And what's the main reason that we all started this? It's to have fun. So first and foremost, have fun. And success isn't something that comes overnight. You got to learn. You got to make a mistake, and then you got to learn from it. You can't be upset about making a mistake. If you make a mistake 100 times and then still make it, well, then you can be upset. But especially when you're starting out, you don't know what to expect. You don't know what to feel. You just have to learn it. You got to, and if you're having fun, ultimately having fun, if it makes you smile when you're doing it, then you're obviously going to learn from the process. But I know that's easy for me to say. I've been doing it for a long time, but ultimately you got to have, you got to keep it fun and just learn from every little thing that happens from the get-go. And my father wouldn't let me start anywhere near the front for the longest time, and today I understand why. At the time, I probably I was arguing with him, but I thought, well, if I start on the front, I'll win. He's like, no, you're going to start off the front more than you're going to start on the front, and you need to figure out how to do it. So, there's things that you just, if you pick up on it and you get a decent feel for it. I don't know that anybody's ever going to get the ultimate comfortable feel for what a race car is supposed to do, because really you're trying to be on the other edge of it to be fast. So, just keep it fun and learn from your mistakes.
Yeah. When you first started, you talk about your dad saying, no, you're not going to start up the front. And I can remember, I said it earlier, you hanging on to the inside and kind of staying out of everybody's way. Was it always fun for you, even in the beginning when you first started?
Well, I was very intimidated. I mean, when you look at a sprint car, and you look at it and you think, oh my God, this thing's awesome. It's just the ultimate thing. It's you felt like it's what you were put on the planet to do. And the first time you go to fire it and they tell you how to get, you got to push it over and the wheels get turning and you turn the fuel on. When you hit that ignition switch for the first time and that thing lights up, I'm telling you what, I should have had a diaper on, because it was absolute insanity. And I remember the first time I ever fired a car was at River City Speedway. It was the blue 4 car that Doug Slocum owned, and Todd Mack. They let me hot lap it. I think it was in the fall of '92, and I remember that they let me hot lap, and I was probably going 15 miles an hour. And I remember the very first person that went past me and threw mud at me was Tim Mulvaney in the red 3. And when that mud hit me, I was just stunned. I'm like, I reached up for a tear off, and another car went by. And then my hand got pelted with mud, and I'm like, they think this is fun?
Yeah.
I was scared to death, but it's just because you've never been in any environment like that. And then the next time I got in it, everything felt fine. You block those things out because you focus on the important things. But it's a pretty hostile environment the first couple times, and once you get used to it, it is ultimately fun. And I still smile most of the time when I race.
That's I never knew that about Todd Mack. I actually haul beats for Todd, so I get to still see all the Macks when they used to always be at the racetrack. There'd be like 100 of them there, but we don't see too many of them there now. I want to go back to the girls for a second here. When you guys, basketball and all that, you go back and hey, great game last night, great game. How many people go to school with twin girls that race sprint cars and late models? What is that like? If you have a good weekend and you come to school on Monday, are people like all over you? I mean, you guys don't get to have like pep rallies and stuff like that for racing, but is it a little different? I mean, because you're still being an athlete, but just a different type.
No. A lot of our friends, they're aware of, what the weekend was like for us if we win, but most people at school don't. They know, but they don't really acknowledge it. Like you said, it's not a school ran sport, so they're not as aware. But Yeah, we got friends that support us at school, and it's cool to know that they know that we're different like that, and yeah, but yeah, and mostly throughout the school, people aren't that aware.
And you now, everybody is starting. You guys are getting to the age now, and good enough where everybody wants a piece of you. People want your time, just like your uncle. I mean, I couldn't imagine. I did see a picture of you guys. You were with Hillary at the Sanford Children's Hospital. How cool is that? I just answered phones last week at the Children's Miracle Network Radiothon. I've known Hillary for a long time. But how cool is that? Because more and more people, they want a part of you guys.
We grew up spending a lot of time in the Sanford hospitals, and Hillary's been a big part of when we grew up. She was there all the time, and we've spent the last few years just helping out at Sanford. We like to do the Radiothon. We did a Dairy Queen thing for Moorhead Dairy Queen, as that was our grandpa's favorite place to go. So that felt really special to us, and to raise money for kids like that, it just feels special, and we like to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's so cool, and when you get done with it, you're like, wow, I'm so glad we did that.
Yeah,
That's a good time. Now I don't know the big suspensions going on now with the tire whatever. We heard 3 different racers got into some trouble and got suspended. Is that a big thing? I mean, we don't ever hear about anybody getting suspended. Donnie, you can answer too if you want, but what do you guys know about this? Anything?
I mean, we grew up with go-karts, so we're very aware of the chemicals that you can put on tires, but obviously we never run into that. When you get into big cars, you never really hear of anyone doing that. Obviously, Donnie, he can tell you. There's always people that are going to cheat, and they're going to try and win, but no, we don't run into that stuff at home, but I'm sure Donnie can tell you.
We had this conversation last night at dinner about this exact issue. These guys, they ran with the best, for a couple years, and they try to get out of this stuff, but, to beat the best, you can't cheat. And I know Donnie can expand on this a little bit, as we talked about it at dinner last night.
Yeah, it's a real world problem, and it's not just at national level. It's at local levels, and I think what happens here is it happens. You do it once, and it's like no one acknowledges and no one finds out, so it just becomes the norm for some people.
Yeah,
the tire thing has gotten out of control. It's something, honestly, to me, what has kept me from wanting to go to Volusia and stay the extra week there racing, just because it's a bigger track, and the diversity between a slow car and a fast car is so great, and the things that people are doing, it's just getting out of this world. Well, I think what you're seeing right now is they caught 3 people, and they're making an example out of them.
Sure.
But I can also tell you that if you want to go back and you look through the World of Outlaws stuff, they told every one of those people at Volusia, don't wash your tires here, don't do this. They let them know they were taking samples and doing this. And I think that's goes back to the point is people have gotten away with it, and depending on who it is, there's a lot of people doing it. There's obviously people that didn't get caught because they didn't run well enough to get in where they were taking top 5 or top 3 or quick time, however they do it. But now it's pretty hard to argue with these people are trying to claim that the lab is botchy and defective, and it's comes from something that happened a couple years ago that was basically something that got swept under the rug because of who it was. And so, there's a lot of these things, and it's not just tires. Believe me, there's nights that we're at the races and you can hear things that happen with a motor that you can't physically do with your foot.
Right.
You get a pulsing going on in the motor, and it's not something you can physically do with your foot or your hands. It's done with electronics. So, it's I think if they nip it in the butt right now, it's something that's going to stop. But I've said it for years. You got to look before you find it. And I think there's times they've looked and they found it, and then they don't want to find it. So, it's good to see that they're doing something now. And They're obviously making an example out of some pretty high-profile guys
Yeah.
It's kind of hard for them to sit here and defend themselves after seeing the results, and it's plain as day. So I don't know what you say for it. It's not something that I condone in any way, shape, or form. But we're all up against it every day, and it makes it kind of it kind of takes a little bit of the fun out of it for me.
Well, it comes down to one word. It's cheating. It's cheating. And is that enough to ruin a career?
I don't know. I hope I never find out, really.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how you. I can't sit and think of anybody that's really ever been busted that it ruined their career. I think it makes it hard for you to kind of drag your name out of the mud.
Sure, especially with social media now.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Social media is a huge thing, and everybody has an opinion, but the nice thing is they can do it now on a computer somewhere. They don't have to come up to your face like most of Steve Kinser's career. If you wanted to tell Steve Kinser he was a dumbass, you know how you did it? You went and bought a $45 ticket to get in, and you had to go up to his face. And,
yeah.
and if you had intentions of doing it when you got within 100 foot and seen how mean looking he was and how big he was.
Yeah, right.
Second thoughts.
Paul Erickson says cheating will definitely ruin a woman or man's reputation. It shows you have absolutely zero integrity. Now, I might get in trouble for this, but girls, you mentioned the go-karts and tire prep and stuff. Hopefully I don't get in any trouble for this, but Mike Dobmeyer was prepping Jackson's tires, Mark's son Jackson. And we couldn't figure out what was wrong. He was all over the track. Realized he'd used motor oil on that tire. So that is a great story. I like to give Mike a hard time about that one. You guys, your schedule this year, you talked about you're going to be running the 305s, 410s, late models. How many times, because I know people are asking me all the time, how many times are we going to see you up here at River City Speedway?
I mean, we hope to be here as much as we can, but we've had this discussion before. We live in Fargo, and we got to keep a good balance. And like Donnie said, support the local tracks.
Yeah.
And so we haven't really had a discussion yet to decide that, but we're working on a schedule, and we'll let everyone know once it comes out.
I guess speaking of like the local tracks in the area, now they're starting to get familiar with other local tracks from the season last year and just kind of years prior. Do you have a certain thing that comes particular to mind when you're going to, okay, we're at Buffalo River this week. I got to make sure to keep an eye out for this or this corner, make a certain adjustment this way. Is there a certain mind that comes out that sticks out from like last year, for example?
It took me a long time to figure out Grand Forks here, and we still struggle at Fargo as well. We just, we're working at it, but it's just a different type of beast, and not really though. Every night's a different night. Racetrack's different, cars different. You got to overcome some of those things and learn from your mistakes.
We got a question from somebody from Chris. How does it feel seeing people wearing your race swag outside of a race night? Not at the track, just seeing somebody wearing your swag. It's got to be pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, it's awesome. Like Josh Johnson commented earlier, racing's a whole different world. People that aren't like outside of it, they have no idea. And I just think it's cool seeing anyone wearing anyone's merchandise, whether it's a competitor or yourself, just wearing it and supporting the racing community.
Now, do you guys stand out in the crowd? I mean, not only are you twins, but do people, are they starting to go, I know who those people are. I know who they are. Is that starting to happen more and more?
No, I wouldn't say necessarily. Obviously, we have our relationships in different places, but I wouldn't necessarily say that's the case yet.
Getting there.
Yeah, getting there, hopefully.
All right, I got another comment from Kevin Pappenfuss, great guy. He's talking about Donnie. When you won both features in Grand Forks, you didn't seem to be winded, but what caught my eye was you were the last person signing autographs, and most drivers were leaving. Just kind of comes with the territory, doesn't it? How many autographs do you think you have signed in your life?
I don't know. You lose track, but one thing I don't like signing is checks. That's the one thing I try to avoid. But it's you have to be. You enjoy that. That's really the reward for even a bad night. And sometimes you can respect I think if you look back at Grand Forks, there's been a few nights where my guys were loading the car and I was still standing there signing, and they hand me my clothes as they were leaving. So that's the, sometimes them teams get, I wouldn't say spoiled, but they have a regime, and to them, they don't want to sit there and do nothing when they could be at the car wash and get, going down the road. And I get that, but yet ultimately you have to make sure you're available for everyone that wants something signed, and you're available for the fans. And it really is, a lot more predominant, at Grand Forks and Fargo when we come and race up this way. But it's the same way when you go to the big races at Eldora and Knoxville. And so it's gotten to be that way most of the time, where it's just, it's common hat to be the last one there a lot of nights. So it's a good position to be in, really.
Well, I should have known I was going to get busted. Mike Dobmeyer heard me. He saw it. He said, "Thanks, John. I'm wondering if he's down in Florida." And Mike, I hope you're coming around good. I know you've been having some health issues. I'm glad to see that you're watching. Donnie, I didn't want to bring this up, but I'm just going to bring up one quick little deal about the new series out there. This is not going to affect the show that the World of Outlaws put on every single night at whatever track they're at. This isn't going to make any difference, is it?
The World of Outlaws isn't about one person. It isn't about two people.
Right.
You can look back, and I remember people saying, when Steve Kinser's done, the World of Outlaws is done. It's going to be a thing of the past. And obviously that's not the case. And it's not going to be that way when I'm gone. It's always been the platform that if you wanted to compete on a national level and try to make a living doing it, that's what it was.
Yeah.
And it still is. And, there's really nothing wrong with competition, but it's kind of like if you've done business with a bank in Grand Forks for 25 or 28 years, and all of a sudden 2 weeks later, there's a new bank across the street. You don't just go clear your accounts out at one.
Sure.
And you go to the other without knowing anything.
Very well put.
There's another series out there. Would it have stayed in the midweek platform? It was great for them to try to build on something, because there isn't a racetrack in the country that doesn't want to have Kyle Larson come and race with them in the middle of the week.
Sure.
But now that it's two national competing series, it's going to be a lot different situation. It's basically the same thing on the other side of the street. There's no rules that are really any different. There's really no pay structures that are any different. So for a guy like me, if you look at me, I've run the same race car since the year 2000. I've run the same wheels. I'm not always out there looking for the magic of the day or this sort of thing. I feel like what you call a pretty loyal person to the people that have supported me and have helped me along the way. And same thing with the series. As a kid, I dreamed of racing it with the World of Outlaws, and here I am.
Yeah.
So what would it say if all of a sudden you're like, there's a new startup series, and you go, what's your reason for going? Is it because it's Kyle Larson's series or it's Brad Sweet's series? What would the reason to go? It's the same thing on the other side of the street.
Sure.
So, like I said, I'm not knocking it. I don't have any problem with competition.
Yeah.
It's something that they're going to have a long-term commitment to try to build up to be better than what the World of Outlaws has been. And regardless who races it, we've seen this before, and the World of Outlaws has done fine. But like I said, it is what it is, and you just have to deal with it.
Terry Blacklance wants to know, Donnie, is there a trophy or a track that you haven't won yet at and is on your bucket list?
Yeah. One of my worst tracks is Hobstadt, Indiana.
Oh, we guessed it.
It's
That's what Joshua said.
Yeah, it's the smallest place we go, and you really. I'm honestly not going to lose any sleep if I never win there. Although I would love to. I've come close a few times. We used to run top 5 every time we went there, but it's just changed so much. You can't be in any control at any time, and that's something that I've avoided, trying to be out of control. Not if you're out of control one lap, you try to get it in control the next lap. When you're at Hobstadt, you're never under control. And the guy does a wonderful job. He's a farmer. He has great equipment. And he's a former racer, but his version of racing is farming in between every heat race. And by the time the race is done, the racetrack's just starting to come in, and where you can start sliding around. So, everyone has a different opinion on what a good race is, what a good racetrack is, what perfect conditions are. So for me, I'm glad I just have that one place that's probably going to elude me forever, but who knows? I'll probably go there next time and win.
Well, we're hoping. Fingers crossed. Question for the girls. Who's your favorite spectator from Papa Dwayne?
Oh, you guys are pretty special to us, but we got a lot of good people that come and watch us each week. Laela?
That's a hard one, but it's always been my grandpa, Danny.
Yeah, Grandpa and Grandma.
Wow. Did you come up with any questions for your uncle or not?
I got one.
Okay. Oh, here we go.
Uncle, do you think that we will ever race the same car against each other on the same night?
Oh.
Well, I think that's what we're building to, girls. We need to build what we're trying to do, or what I'm trying to do ideally is wait to see what the schedules come out at all the tracks for the 305s, for Grand Forks, for the late models, because ultimately, now that we have 410s for both of you, we'd like to take you to Grand Forks a little more often, not every week, and ultimately get you to the point where you can race on the same track. But that's gonna, you got to get a little experience. Now you're 16, but there's kids at your age that are doing a phenomenal job. Like, look at the young Landon Crawley. He just hopped in a 410 last fall, and now he's racing World of Outlaws full time, and he's doing a phenomenal job. So first thing we got to do is get you on the racetrack and see how it goes, and see how well you handle the race cars. And then I'm sure your uncle doesn't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. I'm gonna have to continue to race so I can pay for all them race cars that you guys got. So ultimately, we're gonna end up on the same racetrack.
So I see the DSR, Donny Schatz Racing, all over your cars. So technically, is he your boss?
He's our boss. And Grandma.
And Grandma.
Oh, okay.
And the DSR could stand for Diane, Donnie,
Danny. Oh, sure,
Danny.
sure.
All the D's.
All the D's. All the Schatzes are in there. So is it a little different then? Not only he's your uncle, but I guess your boss.
No, it's not really different. Like I said, it's a group effort. Grandma is, I would say, the one mainly in charge, and I think Donnie would tell you that. I think he's more of our coach. If you were to look at it that way. So yeah.
Well, your uncle mentioned your grandpa had yelled at him numerous times, and you had said he's more like your coach and not your boss. But me playing in sports, especially hockey back in the day, coaches weren't the nicest people all of the time. But has he ever yelled at you for anything?
A couple times. Last year, one time, we were at Ada, and the racetrack was not on the bottom, and I was on the bottom.
Okay.
That's one time. I don't know. There was a couple mishaps in the go-kart racing. I can't really remember those, really, but he is a good coach, and you do need criticism to learn.
Sure you do.
I wish my grandpa was still here to coach us. He got to see us. He got to see me test. I think Laela was there, too, for the first time, and he wore a headset, and he could talk to us, but I didn't hear him talk once. So I wish he was still here some days to teach us a little bit about, sprint cars, because he's who taught Donnie. So, but I remember he was there. He sent me a video the day the sprint car fired off. When I wasn't there, I don't remember where I was, but my grandpa was out there a few days before he passed, videoing the race cars fired up. So that's pretty special to me. I wish he was still here, teach us like Donnie was, but Donnie's a good teacher as well.
Do you think he's watching over you, though, when you're in your car?
Oh, definitely.
I would think so, yeah. Since we're getting ready to wrap things up here, why don't you guys throw out some sponsorship, who your sponsors are and things like that for the upcoming season? Maybe you don't have them all wrapped up yet, but who helps you out, sponsors, people working on your cars?
Oh, yeah. Coast, O'Day, Ellingson, DKW Trucking is one we'll have on board with us this year. Our Uncle Jared at Grind and Trine Propane, all the stuff at Petro and Mike at Turf Tamers. There's a whole bunch of people that make this possible.
Okay, do you guys have the same sponsors?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our family's definitely a big part in our racing. They provide us with the opportunity, and I had the chance to go to PRI last year with Donny and meet a bunch of people that support us behind the scenes. So FK Roddins, Sonda Racing Wheels, all those people, they're really good with us and they support us, and I hope they continue to support us.
Okay, just a couple of things. I've got 2 more questions left for Donny, but Ben Eisenschenk, thanks for having the girls today. Mason Eisenschenk, question for the girls. Any track you haven't raced yet that you want to at some point? I would imagine there's going to be a lot of them.
Yeah, there's a lot of them, but
100 of them.
Yeah.
I think at the top of my list would be Knoxville, just because of the, we
history,
grew up there, you
yeah.
know, going there every year, and it's just such a cool environment there, and the history Donny's had there has really had an impact on me and the goals I want to have.
Okay. Is this the first time you've ever been on a show with him at
Yes.
the same time? So we got that going for us. How about that? That's what your mom had said. Donny, I've got 2 more questions for you. Well, one of them is throw out your sponsors, and after you're done with that, I've got 1 more question for you.
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the great fortune of having a lot of great partners that become some of our great friends, starting with Chuck Sinks at Sage Fruit. Chuck was in victory lane with us for Win 500, and as he's starting to slowly step away, we've enjoyed having him around and continue to have the Sage Fruit around. Everyone at CarQuest celebrating this 50th anniversary of CarQuest this year, and growing up in Minot, working at my dad's service center, changing oil and stuff. I was a CarQuest guy because it was the furthest place from the truck stop. It got me out of work.
Yeah.
But obviously Ford has been a big partner of ours in the engine development program, and there's just so many great partners that we have that we're very fortunate to have all of them. And along with Mike Curb at Curb Records, has been a partner of Tony's since I've been there. So all of our partnerships seem to be long-term, and they've all been really great people, and they've never questioned anything we've done.
Okay, I lied. 2 questions. Since you brought up the Sage Fruit, how do you like doing the TV ads, the TV commercials? Are you comfortable in front of the camera like that?
It's not something that I was not put on this planet to be a movie star or a TV star, but you ultimately find a piece in the fact that if you're going to be marketable and be able to speak and do these things, you have to be comfortable doing it. And being around Tony is probably one of the most naturally gifted people at that, because he was the kind of person when he was trying to be somewhere, that's what his gift was. He couldn't get on the racetracks with people to show his talent, so he learned how to talk and rile people up and do those things. And I tell you, him and I have the most fun when we do those commercials. They slot it like 3 or 4 hours, but I think they should make it like 3 or 4 days. you get into doing it, and then it gets to be fun, and we can throw jokes at each other here and there, and it's just naturally how the two of us are. Even though it maybe don't come across as funny on the finished product, I can tell you, making it and doing some of them things there's a lot of laughs had and a lot of fun had. So
I bet
we enjoy it.
Okay, one last question for you, Donny. Since you have been doing this, like I said, with all your wins, and you look at everything you've accomplished in your career, it's like we're talking about a 90-year-old here. But when this is all said and done for Donny Schatz and the number 15, how do you want to be remembered as a driver?
Just how I am. If I'm remembered as someone who people don't like, that's fine. But I can tell you, I don't recall very many people that I've driven over or through to get somewhere. I think I've kind of done things my way, sat back and pounced when it was time to pounce. And, when conditions were above my ability, I didn't do anything silly. And that may not be my younger days, but I think through most of my later days in my profession, that's who I am. So I would fully expect that that's how I'm remembered.
Very well put. Very well put. Donny, I want to thank you for taking time out of your day today. Man, when your sister called me up or messaged me a couple of weeks ago, I was bouncing off the walls knowing I was going to get you two girls in here and along with your uncle. You guys, I know you're around a lot more, and I know we'll be talking to you even more as this next season comes around. And I hope you guys come back in here again.
Yeah, definitely
we'll be back.
And it's always fun running into you guys in the pits. I have a great time. One last thing, good luck this season, everyone. Don't wreck the cars at River City Speedway. That's not how I want to meet you all.
Hey, I got a question for him.
Okay.
Hey, what's the speed limit on the way back?
Laela?
What's the deal there?
Well, when I first got my
I just want to know what the speed limit is. You should
75.
be able to answer
Yeah,
this. one.
75.
Okay, so how fast you gonna go?
80.
80?
What's the threshold you feel like you can't get busted going on the interstate?
82.
No.
I'd say 79.
79, you got to go in increments of 4.
I was expecting to hear 75.
Hey, no
Thanks for having
speeding.
me.
Yeah, thank you, Donnie. Man, that was fun. I hope you guys had a good time. Again, I'm looking forward to seeing you guys here in the pits. Thank you all for coming. Boy, I tell you what, Laela and Amelia Eisenschenk, be watching for them, okay? They'll be in 2 different kinds of sprint cars. They'll be in late models. You'll see them here and there, Buffalo River, Ada, River City Speedway, all over the place.
Yep, all
and
over.
I can't wait. And you, good luck with the knee surgery.
Thank you.
It'll be a piece of cake. All right, it
Hope
will
so.
be. And Donnie, good luck back down. Hopefully they get you guys racing down there this weekend. There we go. Today's Dirty Thursday, by the way, brought to you by Rumors Sports Bar and Casino here in the Grand Cities Mall. Tell you what, if you can't make it to the UND Fighting Hawks hockey series this weekend, NCHC playoffs, check it out at Rumors. Wall-to-wall TVs. You won't miss anything. Sandwich at a side is just $7 today. They've got great lunch and dinner specials. Go and play some bingo, bet on the horses, and have yourself a good, tall, 16-ounce Busch Light pounder. How's that? Rumors Sports Bar and Casino. Big screens of TV streams on at 1 o'clock today. Fork Sports Highway Show at 6:30 tonight. We got the Brew Brothers at 9. And our 4th year anniversary is tomorrow. How about that? Come on in. Hang out with us for a while. Swing by, say hi, have a cold one. And remember, everybody, to like, share, tag, and follow us, all right? Hit that notification bell on your smartphone. It dings every time we go on the air. You know, the Grand Cities, they are grand. Grand Forks' best source is giving them an identity again.